Hello, welcome to Jessi's Craft Corner. This is part 2 of my Jasmine pilot doll, where I will be covering my pattern drafting and sewing. If you're interested in the concept art and design, you can watch part 1, which I have listed in the description box below. This is what I'm starting with. It is a secondhand Disney store Jasmine. You can see her pants have kind of exploded. I'm gonna go ahead and clean it all up and then we can get started. Here's our body donor. I'm gonna start drafting the clothes. I'm using your everyday plastic bag for the base. Just cut a square and wrap your Barbie. You can also use saran wrap, but I didn't have any in the house and I didn't really feel like making a special trip to go pick some up. And bring on the painter's tape and wrap that baby up. Every question that I ask, I get a lie. And that's why when I leave, you're gonna cry. You're gonna cry, and you'll cry alone. Whenever I get you and you're far from home. Every question that I ask, I get a lie. And that's why when I leave, you're gonna cry. Yay, we did it! I'm just drawing baselines with a pencil to lay out where I want all the pattern lines to fall. On doll sleeves, I kind of just fudged a bit out of paper, mostly because the size is so small that I don't really like going through the pain of making them super accurate. I sort of fudged the collar too, but it's a simple shape, so no big deal. I'm using the scalpel to carefully cut the tape and plastic off. When you're doing this, make sure that you don't leave cut marks on your doll. In case you're wondering why I'm cutting out all of the pieces instead of just half of them like most people do, I like to actually compare the halves of the pattern to make sure that everything is symmetrical. If it's not symmetrical and you're off at this size, it can be the difference between an awesome piece of doll clothing and a tiny tragedy. As in, it's a tragedy that the doll's clothes are too tiny to fit. So take that butt piece and trace it on a piece of paper. Snip it so that it lies flat. Then take the other butt piece, snip it, lay it down so that it's facing the same direction, in the same spot, and trace. You should be able to use the double image to make a perfect pattern piece by drawing in between wherever the lines diverge. Add a 1/8 inch seam allowance to all the edges. Now repeat that for every single pattern piece until you're done. So here's a shot of the finished pattern. I ended up combining the jacket pieces together to cut down on bulk. I'm starting by backstitching down the hem of the jacket front. Once that is finished, attach the jacket sleeves to the body and then top stitch the seams for detail. Repeat for the second sleeve. At this point, I decided I wanted to add a little more detail to the body of the jacket and backstitch some detail to replace where I originally had planned on having separate pattern pieces. I then attached the cuffs to the sleeves to add that nice little pop of light blue. or is it sea green? I'm not really sure. I lean more towards sea green, but apparently my husband thinks it's blue, so I guess everybody sees it differently. Anyway, it's much easier to do this step before the sleeves are actually stitched together. Now to sew up the sides. Make sure your sleeve hole is big enough to fit your doll's hands. And backstitch the side seams on the torso only. Do not do this to the sleeves. I mean, I guess you could do it to the sleeves, but it would be really difficult. That's it for the jacket. On to the top. Since this fabric is prone to fraying, I put a little glue on the seam allowance before cutting out the pieces. This actually had the unintentional side effect of helping stabilize the pieces and maintain their shape, since the fabric I used had a lot of flex, and it turned out great. So I'm just attaching each side piece to the center panel and then top stitching the seams, just like on the jacket. I'm also back stitching around the hem. This would be so much faster if I made my stitches longer. After putting the top on the doll, I decided to add some gold trim. I think sometimes I go out of my way to make things difficult. Shorts! Now featuring even more backstitch details. After all those pesky things are out of the way, sew the back pieces together along the crotch seam. Hi, Snips. And then, you guessed it, more top stitched seams. Hi, kitty. On the pants front, sew the hem together to the bottom of the zipper detail and then attach the front to the backs on the side seams and top stitch, but only on the back seam. Then sew the inseams together and flip right side out. You could call the shorts done at this point, but I rolled the cuffs on mine and whip stitched them into place. So I tried 3 different trims before finding a pocket attachment that I liked, and this is what ended up looking the best. The edges of the pocket pieces have glue on the back to keep them from fraying. Actually, all of the short pieces have glue on them around the edges. I'm kind of paranoid about stuff fraying and falling apart, so. This is also the exact same method I used to attach the butt pockets. So, the tights. Originally, I was going to use a pair of blue tulle stockings I ordered online, but then I was digging through my spare parts box and found these, and they were so pretty. I was dead set on making sure I used the blue because I wanted to carry the color through the whole outfit. So I combined them. Alright, you can see the whole outfit on the doll now. I tacked down the jacket to the center front of the shorts just to make sure that everything stays snug, but I left it open in the back to maintain the flexibility that the doll has. These are the shoes that I got for this project. I thought the details on them were extremely nice, but I would like to add a curl to the toes to make them have that Agrabah flair. Here we go. First thing I'm doing is pushing sequin pins into the toes of the shoes and then curling the tips, so that I will have a sturdy base to build on. I'm just using UV Cure gel polish to build up the shape. I made it a little larger than I wanted it to be so I could shape it down and really define the curl. I also filed the tip of the pin so that I wouldn't stick myself. And a final smooth with sandpaper before moving on to paint. I'm starting off with a basic black to really make the metallics pop later. This took about 2 coats to get solid coverage. Now I'm using my beloved metallic chocolate brown to dry brush the main body of the shoe. You can see how it really makes the details shine. Time for some sweet gold toe caps and heels. This took about 3 coats to reach full opacity. Now I'm using a turquoise as the base color for the socks. I'm being really careful to make sure there's a clean line between the sock part of the shoe and the boot part of the shoe, and I use 2 coats. While that was drying, I went ahead and used basic black to clean up the soles of the shoes. I then used pool blue to dry brush the socks and bring out the detail. Hit it up with Mr. Super Clear, and they're done. I ended up making the belt and jewelry off camera. I've not really done any decorative wire work before, so this was a lot of trial and error while I figured out what I was doing. You can see how they turned out. I ended up deciding to add a couple of bracelets and remade the earrings because I wanted them to match the rest of the metalwork on her outfit. I thought the earrings would go really fast, but it took me 6 tries to make them because they were so tiny. I'm really happy with how they turned out in the end though. I hope you enjoyed this video and will join me for part 3. As always, thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.